book really pissed me off. Hello everyone, Britton here, also known as Some Okie Dude, and today I'm back with a new review, and I'm covering the last book of Joe Abercrombie's First Law trilogy. I have covered The Blade itself, I have covered Before They Are Hanged, and now I am covering The Last Argument of Kings, or, well, just Last Argument of Kings. I'll leave the out. Yeah, it's a pretty good ending. So you already told me that this book pissed me off. Why did it piss me off so much? Is it because it was bad? Is it because it was a poor ending to the trilogy? No, it was not. Now, keep in mind, I might get a little spoilery with this conversation here, so just be warned for right now. I will say that I'll try and keep it as vague as possible, but for right now, it might be a little spoilery, so I wanted to warn you just in case, but I'm going to try and keep it as vague as possible, because I want you guys to read this before you come back and, watch my video. I don't want to spoil this for all of you. But like I said, this book pissed me off. Not because it was badly written, or because it was a poor ending, or Joe Abercrombie decided it would be a good idea to torpedo this great series he has going into the ground. I think the ending of the series is a rather fitting one. I should say that I was expecting something that was dark, I should say. I was expecting something that would be pretty dark, at least. I was expecting something that might be at least bittersweet at best. Oh boy, I was not expecting the ending we got in The Last Argument of Kings. That is all I'll say. It is a book that shocked me with the direction it went in, and it is a book that just completely pulled a 180 on me, and just left me surprised by the end of it, and I don't know if that's in a good way. But in the end, I do think that the ending of this series that we've had is a quite fitting one, because the world of the First Law is not a nice place, and the people who are often in it are often terrible, and even when you're a decent person, it's like this world goes out of its way to make you worse. I suppose it was the unfairness of this ending that made me mad, because, you grow to care about these characters in the story, and you kind of want them to, get through all of the crazy stuff that they go through, all the trials and tribulations, but Abercrombie doesn't give you that. I mean, I guess the one who has probably the happiest ending, and I say that in air quotes, is Glokta, because, he ends up in a somewhat better place than he was in. But, again, it wasn't quite the ending I expected. In fact, it really was unexpected. But it is rather fitting to the world that Joe Abercrombie is made. It's certainly very jaded. It's certainly very, it's a very dim view of how humankind can be. Not all is bleak and hopeless, though. As I've said before, there is a lot of heart. There is a lot of surprising amount of emotion in this. And there's a lot of humor, too, that's really fun. Though the humor is toned down a bit in this, because, this is the climactic journey of the story. But Joe Abercrombie's authorial voice, his sense of character voice is still strong. I know Jason loved when I brought that up, but it's true. Joe Abercrombie has a gift when it comes to creating. He is very economical with his storytelling. He never has anything that feels out of place. There are some things I have kind of an issue with that maybe I'll discuss a little bit. There are some elements from the previous parts of the trilogy that kind of get dropped. For instance, Logan's ability to speak to spirits just kind of, just gets dropped. Why not? They're almost like fates from the old Greek plays. They're warning Logan about what's going to happen, and Logan's just, he doesn't listen, because he's kind of an idiot. But that's digress. I find what separates Abercrombie from a lot of other grim dark writers, if you want to call them that, is that he has a lot of this heart and humor and emotion. That it's not just, everything sucks, and Now, things do suck in this. I'm not gonna lie. It is not a happy place. But, it's not like everyone's just super, dreary and depressed all the time. This is a world that has humor in it. Characters joke around with each other. There's still a small sense of camaraderie. And it's, I think that's what makes Joe Abercrombie compelling for me, and it's not just a complete bleak fest, even though this book does get really bleak by the end. I find that a lot of the themes that come into play with the trilogy, that are explored through the trilogy, stuff like disillusionment, the cost of desire and what you're willing to do in order to get what you want, the corruption of the system, attempts to redemption, and a desire to change. It all comes back in this book, and it really shows what I ultimately think that this series is about, and it's about people who want to change, but ultimately because of, well, to be fair, it's ultimately because of A, circumstances that they can't control, and B, their own character flaws. And either or is kind of, you can kind of, one can debate, it's sort of a chicken and egg situation. One can debate on what is what and what constitutes more of why this is happening, but it's still basically the main reasons that this is happening. All the characters go through what my friend Jimmy Nuts described as a circular arc, in that they kind of end in a similar place that they started. For instance, we see Glocta basically realizing that all of his angst is pointless as long as he can get ahead in this system, and decides that it's much better to be a monster than to angst about if he's doing the right thing all the time. Because, that makes him feel bad. Or Logan, I think, is the most pronounced example, because despite the fact he wants to leave his life of violence and bloodshed behind him, he's just not smart enough to get himself out of the trap. And Giselle, well, I won't get into Giselle. He probably gets the shittiest end. He probably gets the shittiest hand dealt to him. And you would think, if you read this book out of context, that, hey, that doesn't sound too bad. Until you get to the end of the book, of course. I don't want to get into that too much. But yeah, a lot of the arcs of this book do feel very circular. There is that certain... It's sort of like what Albert Einstein said about insanity. It's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And that's a lot of what I expect from these characters. And it also asks questions of, why do people do good things? Why do people do bad things? Why are people evil? Why do people just try to be kind to other people? What does actually wanting to change mean? What is the cost of wanting to change? Can you even change after all the bad decisions you need to make? And ultimately, I think what Abercrombie is saying by the end of this series is that, yes, a desire to change is good, but you have to make the choices in order to make it happen, because desiring it is not enough. If you can't just want something and expect to get it and still do the same bullshit you've been doing over and over and over again, as Logan learns the hard way. Or you can be like Glocta, who just decides, I don't feel comfortable with this angst. I'm just gonna be an asshole. Or Giselle. Again, I'm not gonna get into Giselle, because he probably gets the shittiest hand out of everybody in this. But besides that, this is a very well-paced and really well-written novel. I really enjoyed the pace of it. It didn't really leave anything to prove. There wasn't any leisurely pace. It's very much, this is happening, this is what's going on, and it's going to go bad. And it does go bad. And it is a climactic book. And, oh boy, is it climactic? Sorry. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. There's not really much more to say aside from what I've already said about the other two books. I mean, it's great. I love the character voice. The characterization is very strong. It's bleak without being too... It's dark without being too bleak, though it does get very bleak, especially towards the end. And it shows not everything is fair in the world. And that really fucking sucks. I don't think that Abercrombie thinks that's a good thing. It just shows, hey, the world isn't fair sometimes. And that really sucks. I think it's more, a lot of people kind of seem to treat the first law as it's like rubbing your nose in it like Rick and Morty does. I don't think so. I think Abercrombie is genuinely disappointed that we live in a world that isn't always fair and that people don't always get what they want. But Abercrombie shows the consequences of the choices of the choices that the people make throughout the story, especially characters like Lakta, Logan, Giselle, Baez, Pharaoh, all of these characters. Not really much else more for me to say about this book, aside from it is a really strong ending to the trilogy. It really shocked me. It took me into a direction I was not expecting at all. Once again, the action in this is incredible. Has that really Howardian spirit. Really likes to, you know, that really fucking makes sense. Thanks, Britain. But I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was really good. I think it's a book that everyone should read at least once. I'm actually thinking I should do like a full-on First Law discussion at some point. Maybe get someone who's also read the books and maybe have a discussion about what makes it work and maybe some of the stuff that, you know, doesn't work. I don't know. Maybe someday. I am certainly thinking about doing that. But yeah, I really enjoyed The Last Argument of Kings. I wouldn't say it's a fun book. Well, it kind of is. But it certainly was a very rewarding read, and it was a very good ending, even despite how dark it was. And that's all I have to say for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to check me out on Twitter, please do that. If you want to check me out on my Goodreads and Letterboxd, where I write reviews, which are probably more coherent than the ones you just heard right now. And if you want to go check out my Discord, please go do it. Come talk to me. I would love to hear from you. Also, like, comment, do all that fun stuff, because, you know, Papa needs some views. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed The Last Argument of Kings. It was a very enjoyable book, and I think I've said that a dozen times now. So, am I going to read any more of Joe Abercrombie, I bet you're wondering. Yes, I am. I actually have Best Served Cold over there. But after this ending, I'm going to take a break from Joe Abercrombie for a little bit. Maybe wait a few months. But we'll see. I am hoping to read Best Served Cold during the summer. But we'll see. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.